This was a fantastic match with two very good teams duking it out against each other, and these kind of matches are really rare. I haven't had one since probably around the beginning of this series when I was first discovering 56 as a server, and they had some really good players on for a few nights in a row, and I had some fantastic matches. This one's on Bella's Battlegrounds. They had a bunch of people on, a lot of good experienced members, and we had just a few really cool matches back to back. The match just before this one demonstrated how good my team was and how good the enemy team was. We lost it. It was not the prettiest performance on my part. I lost a bunch of lodges at key critical moments that ended up costing us quite a bit. But in the end, I was really confident going into this one because I knew the kind of team that I had and I knew the kind of game that I could expect. So bear that in mind as we go through the staging phase.
Advance and secure. Выдвинуться и закрепиться в районе.
When do we get a stiff?
My brain hurts.
Grab
Did anyone see last game how the guy who was one-manning the Bradley died to the 14-5? He's like, oh, don't worry about it, guys, I died.
What? Oh, I guess we need a medic. God.
Okay, grab one Tiger, one Logi, and hop in Aang's heli. Aang is 5. One person in the Tiger.
We did not get Tiger.
Okay, then 2 people in the Logi.
Oh, I gotta get Logi before they do.
Now on 3-lane RAAS, obviously we want to cover everything, so I'm just waiting to see where the rest of the team goes, and I'm going to offer to at the very least get first backup and then choose what kind of lane I want to go down, which is why I ultimately want 3 vehicles, which I'm going to get to in a second.
Hey bro, how's that gun, bro?
Oh, so I just tested it.
Want to handle backups?
Get me back in.
I'm sending my Tiger to first backup, and then I'll try to get second depending on where it goes, depending on what lane I pick.
Copy.
Oh.
Who's going?
What is my
Alright.
Let's show them
I'll
some
try to get the
Russian
third
power.
one if it goes to the west lane.
First backup with Logi, yeah. Okay, if you're covering west, I'll probably cover east.
BRB.
Okay. Yo, where do you think my squad should go? I got a full 9 man.
I'd go central if I were you, around the bog area on my pings here. And then we can cover all 3. I'll try to get second back cap for east lane, and I might be able to redirect for central lane too. I'm at 5 people though.
Does Ball Camp have any forest nearby for a good hab? I can't tell
Yeah.
from the map.
Pretty much everything around here is tree line.
Yeah, 7 or 4. Go ahead and hop out of that. Wait, 4. Can I snag your Logi, brother, if your guys aren't gonna use it?
Yeah, but you have to grab back cap with it.
Yeah, we're doing the backups.
You wanna trade?
That's fine.
Just hop in the Logi, I'll take your Tiger, I'll do backups. Okay, hop out of the Logi.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hop out of the Logi and hop in the Tiger.
Okay.
We're trading with 3.
Thank you, 3.
So things get a little bit complicated now, as I mentioned, with 100 player servers having 4 squads, ideally, and only having 3 Logi trucks. Because in the end of the day, the helicopter in and of itself can place your initial fob quite easily, and you can use it to place fobs during the match, but if you're playing active defense or you're on offense, both of those situations aren't really going to give you any flexibility in terms of actually placing fobs with helicopters that are effective. So in the end of the day, it is kind of annoying that I have to account for the 4 infantry squads, even though it is technically an ideal team structure. But because this team is great, it's not a problem. The 3 people that I'm giving Logi trucks I know are going to use the Logi trucks effectively. They're already talking about splitting between the lanes, and the fact that we were actually able to talk that out in staging phase and accomplish that vehicle trade, thus giving me the Tiger for backups and him the Logi truck, it seems like a small deal, But the fact that we were able to effectively communicate that and get everyone into an ideal circumstance where everybody has a fob creation vehicle and that I can trust my team to do that and not feel the need to have both the helicopter and the logi truck in order to compensate for a bad team really goes to show something. It shows how effective this team could potentially be. And it was really good staging phase organization because it was technically selfish of me to start hogging all these vehicles. I'm just used to having to because nobody else is really going to pull their weight, at least that I'm aware of. This is totally the opposite in this case, and that felt fantastic to do that trade, even though it looked like a small thing.
Why did I get kicked out of the helicopter?
Yo, Captain, I just want to say I'm kind of fanboying right now, man. Like, I've listened to your voice for literally 6 hours straight over the past month.
I love
and
you
I
too.
recognized it immediately.
Say stabilized or stabilized? Which one?
Stimulus.
Okay, my friends, are you ready for battle?
Alright, my friends, it is time!
Can we give up our logi eng, so I basically need you for additional fobs?
It's Corona time.
Be an interesting cover.
Yeah, давайте.
If you want to loiter around with the first drop and dump 6, I'll hop out with radio hab as quick as I can and then hop back in for the other 6. Holy shit, where's that guy going?
I turned to avoid him,
Oh,
but
okay.
apparently it didn't
Nice
fucking
job,
work.
dipshit.
So I've already talked about the strategy for this layer 17 times over because RAAS 1 pops up on my channel so much, but essentially we have one logi, full 9-man inf covering the west lane, and they are going to the eastmost midpoint, which is good because it controls the other Mogis, which are their potential third flag, so good call there. Then we have the guy who talked to me about going central lane, he's going to the bog, fantastic, decent coverage. Normally at this point I'd have a logi plus a light vic, so I'd send the light vic through caps 1, and then send the logi through my lane caps 2 and 3, and then have the light vic ready to switch to other lane caps 2 and 3, which sounds kind of complicated, but ultimately it's just my attempt to get very efficient backcaps on my lane and then decent backcaps on other lanes if it doesn't end up going my way. But because I just have the Tiger now, I'm only going to cover east lane backcaps and maybe central lane because they're somewhat close, possibly. If I had a bunch of people in my Tiger, I would send them to east lane and then double back for second flag backcaps for central, but I don't because I'm running a small squad, so it is what it is. It's a heli going up east border. It's at least that far heading northwest. Now because I don't have a logi coming to start ferrying around supplies and covering a bunch of eastern lane mids, I'm trying to tell Engatar that I'm going to dump my radio, have him dump half of the build he's bringing because he's bringing 12 build, and then I'm going to immediately place my hab and hop back in, so I'm trying to organize that. But I ultimately decide against that because of the helicopter we just saw. The fact that it wasn't landing makes me nervous that it's just going to be a casshawk flying around in circles shooting at shit, and I don't want to put Engatar in too much risk, so I'm just going to drop everything here. A little bit closer and good. Start heading for second cap, or start heading there in the Tiger. You might have to react to a central lane as well. We'll see. Blackhawks overhead. He's
That's a
okay. I don't think he knows how to
landing or
fly.
observing. Oh my
I'll start spreading on east lanes.
What's up, soldiers? How you doing?
One person stay down there, and then let's spread out between other caps. See what's going on. This guy just like flying backwards. What's going on?
Even with squads flying by the way, I don't think this is something that's possible. I think it's just what?
Desync, probably. I don't know. East lane, nice. Alright, it's east lane. If you guys can redirect over to me, I'll mark all midpoints. I'll handle back caps as well.
Confused by that one.
Do you want me to go out here? Is an off chance when I spawn? That'll be out here.
No. We have too few people. We need to spread over a lot of caps.
They already have infantry on west and east step, yeah. I'm assuming.
Captain Charlie.
The heli went there. Not confirmed. I'll check.
Yeah, they did. They are in step.
Okay. Now, the teamwork here is fantastic. Angatar flies back over and spots that west step is potentially contested. We later confirmed that. The rest of the squads are all trying to converge on east lane now. No delay, no daddling around, they're just doing it. Sadly, squad 3 ends up running into a tow fob that was set up by the helicopter as it went north to overpass that we didn't see where it landed, but ultimately that's where it ended up. So 3, I think, has their logi destroyed, which you can see going on right now, which is unfortunate. But as they're attempting to push in, they get contested. But 6 and 2, who are covering central and west lane, both immediately start reacting and coming into east lane to build 2 independent fobs to cover different areas, which is just amazing. You know, you don't usually see that kind of a good play. So because of that, I'm going to focus predominantly on the east side, and because I'm working with a helicopter here rather than a logi truck, I'm going to try to go for the safest possible hab that also contests more midpoints, which is where I have my mark here. So I'm trying to meet up with Angatar to set that down since I don't think contact will be there yet, and setting down habs with helicopters is a risky endeavor. Meanwhile, 6 is pushing directly into west step where that potential contact is, and 2 is going for the wide flank down south, so they are potentially even in position to hit the next flag should things go really well here. Now we do have another hiccup besides 3 getting hit on that overpass, and that's the fact that the Tiger flipped outside of the second back cap, so our back caps are going to be delayed by a bit.
Yo, 3, is it under or on top of the bridge?
Top of the bridge. I'll mark it right now. I don't know, dude. This is... That's tough cookies, bro.
Just gonna drop it in this housing.
Good infantry. Take gas.
Resetting. Can you just go ahead and reset that logic? Resetting. Wait, like, take it.
There's
you
a
have to build
heli
it more.
en route to east
Looks
side
like
of the
a
map.
number of applications now.
East side, like to Stepney, I think.
Yeah, they saw us land there. You can push it if you want and try to hold it. Other squads are taking care of west step pretty well.
Copy.
Yeah, 7, if you can actually hold and like clear
Wow,
everything,
okay,
then I
he
can
was
get a guy
better than I
to
am. This guy
get
here.
that logi back so we don't have to waste the tickets. If you can't, just
Just
go
build
ahead
it if you
and
can, Blanc.
My aim was better.
reset it. Either or, up to you.
Right, so 6 landed in the west and is immediately spreading for map control over the western midpoints, trying to find out where the fuck they're spawning. 2 is coming in from the south right now. They're going to build a little bit further than I would have liked, but it's still a great fob for controlling the south end, for flanking, for any particular fobs they might build. And it was probably the safest action just because they're not entirely sure where the fob is and it could be a gas station right now. And I make a mistake because for some reason I thought the third cap for East Lane was always going to go to the Yev area, and it didn't. It went to Upper Petrivka, so my light Vic is out of position. So I'm going to ask somebody else to cover it for me, and fortunately our team does. So I do botch back caps a bit. But at the end of the day, we have a lot covered in the Stepney area, and we're starting to look really good on the mid. Now, a few marks go down for the fob somewhere in the southern part of West Step. 6 is definitely on it. I'm not entirely sure if they're marking predictions and checking them out and then marking more predictions or just looking for a split hab or radio. But wherever it was, they managed to take care of it reasonably quickly, and so we end up being pretty good. While that's happening, a lot of contact does get onto our southeast point, but I stopped prioritizing it because West Step appears as the active objective. However, while that's happening, I want you to look at Squad 1, who is on the main central road in the BTR on the south end. They are the guys who crashed the helicopter and didn't say a word, and they just immediately went and claimed a BTR, and now they're driving it straight into the Bradley, where they promptly die. I'm going to mention them again later in the match because they do a few more things like that. In addition to that, however, we have another BTR-82 and a BMP, the rest of our team's armor, on overpass, and they're kind of fighting infantry there, I believe, on that fob, and trying to recover the logi that 3 lost there. Or failing that, at least blow it up. Unfortunately for them, the Bradley is continuing towards them, and some combination of the infantry, potentially the ATGM, and potentially the Bradley, I don't really know, I was just watching the map, but some combination of those three things ultimately end up taking both of them out. So we are at an immediate strong armor disadvantage. Similarly, a newly created squad, Squad 10, just lost Squad 2's Logi on their South Fob, which is unfortunate because I believe at this point I was in comms with the rest of the team trying to get somebody to head to Novo, and 2 was in the obvious best position to do so. But I don't really know the context there, so I'm not going to look too deeply into it. They're just marking a striker in the area. So essentially, to summarize, our infantry game at this point in time is looking fantastic on the mids. We have a lot of coverage, and the flag ends up popping up in a very favorable position, and we do have people actively pushing the enemy's spawns. Unfortunately, meanwhile, our armor game is quickly deteriorating. We've actually lost enough tickets in the armor game now to completely negate the advantage we're going to get from the midpoint. So this is pretty much going to be a dead even game between the mid that we capture and the Novos. We're going to have to either do well in terms of KD or armor, or capture that objective. Now, I'm commentating on a lot of stuff that hasn't happened yet, so I'm going to play the clip where you can see all of these things going down.
That's my spot.
They're down southeast of us. I don't really care, but we have to be aware of that in the future.
No radio.
If anyone wants to set up for Novos, it's going to be one of the next flags.
Yeah, my guys can do it.
My squad's gonna stay on West Step.
Or shall I park it?
I'll stay here with you.
I'll scoot my guys from lower pit. West or east,
I say
Nova.
try to get southeast. Try to stop him.
Best guys.
If you're in the Tiger, just come pick up the engineer over and over and flank shit.
Yeah, Captain, West or east, Nova, what are you thinking?
50-50.
The logi here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that was
That's
your
you,
method.
Stiff.
So moving on, I'm finally going to get in contact with Eng so that we can set up a third fob. I probably could have done this a little bit earlier if I had my truck floating around, but I wasn't going to take too many chances. 8 has completely cleared out that south. We are confirmed good. We have a lot of infantry on West Step, and now that we've just lost our southeast fob, I want to be putting a fob somewhere here near a gas station. I want to do this for 2 reasons. I want a backup fob because we're now getting hit from the north of Step, which I'm going to talk about more. And second of all, I want a canary fob so that if we get attacked from the southeast, we see it go down and we understand what's happening. This is a good reason to place fobs in positions where enemies often place fobs. Even if it ends up meaning that you don't get a spawn out of it, knowing in advance that an enemy is coming from that direction, and even potentially having a spawn that is intermittently proxied that you can spawn on and meat grind them for a bit, can be really advantageous. So I get into contact with Engatar. I decide to put the hab a little bit closer so that people don't have to cross that road in the event that this ends up being a backup fob, which is becoming increasingly likely as we take more pressure on the north. And now we have a triple fob network, and we just have to worry about active defense and actually maintaining this cap. Quick note, at this point I could have met whoever is in Bravo Fire Team on the east side of West Step for a rally, and that probably would have been my best next move, but instead I go immediately to find out what's happening north of West Step. Just a small correction, something I'm noticing in hindsight that I probably could have done better here. Now this is going to be the beginning of a long defense, where we have a lot of our team on West Stepney pushing against multiple incoming contacts from multiple different directions. The enemy team does a really good job on offense, trying to divert attention, trying to build new habs, trying to surround us, and we do a pretty good job on defense, reacting to incoming attacks, trying to maintain situational awareness, and doing our best to hold cap range. While this is all happening, Squad 3 goes on offense on the Novos. Now, upon losing his Logi truck, Squad 3 grabbed a pilot kit and started flying the remaining helicopter, the one that 1 abandoned after they crashed at game start. And he's still leading his infantry, and he's attempting to build fobs with that vehicle and kind of multitask. I am usually pretty strongly opposed to this type of strategy, but he's doing a decent job of it, even if I don't really think it's the most effective way to play, and in the end of the day, it opens up me a Logi that I can grab at main when it respawns, so I'm happy about that. I'm going to stop talking for a second so you can appreciate this grenade toss.
They're down as well.
Oh shit. No. Anyway, here you can see I'm trying to save our northwest hab. I'm trying to kill the guy on the radio digging it right now. It's getting a little interesting, and you're going to see me play more actively than I normally do, just because I don't have a Logi. Normally right now I would be in the Logi with 1 person flanking around the north spawn to the best of my ability. Instead, I'm doing a little bit of half-assed combat while I'm also looking at my map, trying to see what's happening, and trying to get an idea of when a Logi is going to respawn so I can go and grab it. Defense can get quite complicated, and at any given point I'm trying to think of multiple things. Normally my first instinct would be get a good spawn network up and then work on taking down enemy spawns, which would have me in a logi flanking the north, but because I can't do that, I have to think about other aspects of defense. Another aspect is making sure that we are meeting incoming attacks with an equal amount of defenders, and we have a lot of blueberries in cap range right now pushing northwest, so I feel pretty good about that. So point 3 is going to be maintaining situational awareness and making sure we don't get pushed in from another flank, which appears to be happening on the east tab right now. Blanc manages to suicide rush the radio and get a single shovel in, which saves it from bleed out and then has us in a position where we could potentially recover it if we get more control over the area. But while this is happening, there's a pretty strong presence coming in from the northeast of West Stepney, which is possibly a different spawn from the one that we think is at Yev, and our east spawn of course is going down, so we are starting to get into a bit of a sticky situation on defense here. Similarly, on the offense, it was double fobbed, and they were able to easily push through the first fob and take care of it, but now they are struggling with the eastern fob, and they are in a sort of stalemate fob versus fob situation. Now, I make a mistake here. I am 100% focused on trying to get a logi or trying to prevent a flank, and I feel naked and like I can't really influence what's happening unless I can be building spawns, so that takes up a lot of my attention, and I neglect the fact that I took commander. At this point in time, I have an airstrike available, and I could simply deal with that northeast spawn, and then we could only have to worry about if there is a north spawn and the people coming in from the east. And I do eventually realize this, but the timing is poor, because I could have done that while I was alive over there, and then grabbed a logi truck and tried to flank the potential other northern or potential eastern spawn, and then be in a situation where we were working proactively to delete the only enemy spawn available, or the only 2 enemy spawns, off of a decent network with a flanking spawn. But instead, I'm going to end up in a situation where I grab the logi, I'm taking it out of main, and then I remember I have the asset and have to stop and build a quick fob to use it, and ultimately it's just going to be a little bit late, and I'm not going to really be able to take care of all of the enemy spawns attacking us at the same time in one fell swoop, in a way that I might have been able to accomplish if I had timed things right and remembered I had the assets. Now we get lucky, because whatever came in from the east was just a few people unbacked by a spawn trying to take down a hab that they probably spotted from the east, so we don't actually end up having to worry about that. So I'm now in a position where I could actually potentially airstrike East Novo. 6 is making a push on the Yev spawn right now, and they might be able to trade as we finally lose our western spawn at West Step. And if that happens, I am going to prioritize East Novo. But if they go down, I'm definitely going to airstrike that West Step fob, and hopefully we only have to deal with something to the north now, if there's even anything there at all. Let me know how that goes, 6. I'm going to airstrike it if you die.
Copy.
Y'all playing on public test or
Regular ranch.
No. Just normal.
While I'm doing this, if you take a look at offense, Squad 2 ends up flanking with one other guy and setting up an awesome fob to the north, and I'm not really going to pick on Squad 3 too much for doing his split helicopter squad, because he did it pretty much better than I normally see it, and it ended up not being too bad at all. But what Squad 2 is doing right now is the very reason why I don't. Because of the distraction to the southwest, he was able to sneak a logi in, get a fob to the north, and will likely be able to make a good stealthy push onto East Novo without them knowing where he's at. It's just the benefit of using a truck on offense, and a helicopter really is not able to do that. But kudos to Squad 2 for pulling off defense with just another guy for some fob building, because he recognized that offense could use another fob and it could make the difference. And kudos for building a really good one that can capitalize on the distraction to the southwest. Now while I'm watching to try to give callouts to 6 for any enemy infantry I see, while also watching the map to see how offense is going, 6 does end up going down, so the decision to airstrike on defense is made. It helps that Squad 2 is building a good spawn on offense that I think will ultimately stand a really good chance of capturing that without my assistance.
Hey, 6, is there still a hab there?
We're most likely not gonna be able to clear it out. Just airstrike it.
Нужно подкрепление! Срочно нужна
Inbound.
Random guy walking to East Novo from the north. Might be a hab up there or something.
Воздушная поддержка на подходе.
Now, at this point in time, as you're watching me airstrike this and call it in, I am not really under the impression that there's any kind of northeast spawn. Looking back, it seems kind of obvious to me, given how people flanked our easternmost spawn and came into cap range hard from the northeast, that there would be something up in the general area of the northeast, but I had a very slight suspicion that it might be the case while I was actually watching West Step and fighting on foot, and at this point in time, I've honestly just completely forgotten about it. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've taken this down all of the way and there's no stakes remaining, I'm basically going to drive into that exact location under the assumption that the contact will be cleaned up by the time I get there. And that is more or less true. The contact that was directly in that point is pretty well cleaned up, but I believe they had some kind of rally or possibly even a hab, though I did ask Eng to take a look and we didn't really see anything, but some kind of spawn point up to the northeast that they were using to actively recontest that radio and try to get back to it. So I end up making a pretty stupid mistake, which I'm going to cut to here.
Should my squad stay on West Stepney, or should we
Now, is that better, worse, or same?
find a way to transport over?
That's better.
I think you and I should stay here.
I can transport.
If anyone else can go, go for it.
Bravo, Tank Mark. I am pretty far from that.
I mean, y'all don't really have any other threats on West Step. I mean, that was the only hab they had up, yeah?
the radio
Yeah, but they'll be coming back in. They're playing smart.
No radio Mark, just have Mark. Have Mark was, I don't know anymore. Right where you're at, that's where the hab was.
Yeah, radio's on me.
Tree.
There's an enemy ahead. You can kill him.
Enemy group of soldiers to the north.
Taking the radio down.
I don't know.
I know where that
So I can't full spray, Cap, get back into cover.
Okay, good.
Stop in the truck, you're good.
Sounds like there might be names east of that.
Do you think he's dead?
Pulls in for 175 meters.
I hit it, did not do enough damage.
Just keep the truck alive.
To my west
Just take it
south.
back out if you
Is
can.
what I'm trying. It's not been hit, it's been hit.
Not serious, I don't think. Still a lot down here.
He
I don't
just,
know why that medic was trying to flank you guys instead of coming for the radio, but whatever.
Still a
Enemy
lot.
tank is tracked
They
by
must have
Bravo.
something here.
You have well, they don't have it anymore. It's been out of commission for a second, because I'm still getting the radio down.
Spawn on it.
It's been down the tier, so they haven't been able to spawn, so as long as you kill them, you should be good.
I think they just had two spawns with the number of people coming in from like the northeast of Step. I think they have something in this tree line. Eng, I think they have something in the tree line on the move mark.
They have two
Ahead.
habs on East Step.
You see anything?
You have a creeping barrage yet or no?
Alright, it's emptied out.
I'll go look for it.
It's on 9 minute because I SU'd the other hub.
Mr. Marksman on his way.
It's gonna be a hot minute. Damn it. That's my Logi. I loved that Logi.
I don't see anything in that tree line.
I think they had two. I think they had the one in Yev and they had one to the east with how they were pushing west up and how they're all fucking swarming there now.
Y'all got me
No, I
playing
don't
Oh,
Tom Bar.
fuck, they got me.
Now
I
this
see them
game
coming from the
is
left of the earth.
Oh, they were coming from the right too. I just don't know if it
Captain,
was
do they have another,
survivors.
they have another hab up there? So many troops still there? Is it just a
You
leftover
got guys
from that
walking
being
from
destroyed?
Pet,
that tank. Keep moving off.
and then I don't know about
Yeah,
the rest. I'm trying to fend it out.
They have a hab somewhere
And
in
additional six to
this
push
general
left,
area,
left,
somewhere up
trouble
there.
blueberries to push left, the
That's where they have their
engineers
tail
to
fob,
digging
so
their shit
I
back
can
up.
go ahead and pick up guys in the swamp and fucking move them on to East Nova.
Is East Nova pretty hot?
They need help. There's two enemy fobs on East Nova, so yes, we can use the assistance.
Do we have mortars yet?
Negative.
Alright, we'll get some mortars up.
So the moment I finally get a Logi, I lose it, which is unfortunate. I should have panic rallied. I should have just, seen the first guy and gone back into the tree line and dropped a radio there. I just assumed it would be like one straggler and I could handle him myself, but obviously that wasn't the case. But anyway, now that a lot of people are talking about the Northwest and the Northwest is becoming a point of big concern, I'm immediately noticing that we now no longer have anyone on the south/east or anyone respawning who's going to give any indication of whether or not we're getting attacked. No, I need to add people here. Logi's pulling up. Logi is pulling up to our south radio right now. On command. Logi's pulling up on me right now. They have a hab. It's already up. So this is the reason why I spawned down south, and it's the hardest part about defense, is maintaining situational awareness while also countering pushes. And it just goes downhill from here. We had some people shift onto offense, which was probably a good call at the time, but now we immediately have this threat, and my radio is separated, and this is one of the disadvantages of separating a radio. If the contact comes from the direction of the radio, you're a little bit boned, like in this case here. And while all of this is happening, the other heli pilot calls out that there is a Logi truck on the east side on east step going towards our other fob. Plus we have migrators to the northwest. So shit is going downhill, and I just lost my Logi. Even if I still had my Logi, this would be challenging, but there would be moves that I could make. I would quickly work on building another backup fob somewhere near the north side of West Step, so that if any of these went down, we would have another spawn near cap range. But even then, this would be a difficult situation to counter. So right now, I just want to prioritize blocking these south people as quickly as possible. And then if the east people end up coming in, or the north people end up coming in and starting to manipulate cap range, I'm going to have no choice but to try to hold it as long as possible. If I can hold it long enough to get my Logi and get into position, which is unlikely, that's fantastic. But right now, for the most part, I'm just hoping that I hold it long enough that we can do well on offense, now that there's been a pretty significant spawn shift to offense, and now that it seems that more enemies are coming onto our defense point. We have 2 squads here, most likely pushing from 2 different directions, plus migrators, so hopefully this sort of law of symmetry that I talk about can allow us to at the very least get a double neutral should I lose this flag here. At this point in the game, I'm a little bit annoyed because this is really just not my best performance. I'm not doing that fantastic. Part of it's not entirely my fault because I had to share Logis and it was the logical thing to do, and I think the best call, and now I just have to feel naked because I don't have one. But then even when I did start getting Logis, I wasn't using them too effectively, I immediately got them lost, and I failed on the commander department. So I'm not too happy with the fact that we're possibly about to lose this objective, and it is largely my fault. Anytime it feels like things are going downhill and I'm on foot shooting at people, I'm unhappy because I know that I have ultimately failed to the point where I'm no more useful than your average rifleman in the situation, which means I feel like I can't influence what's going on beyond, clicking heads. And I'm not even doing that too well this match. With that said, I could be cooperating with helicopters right now and attempting to get another fob up on the north side of West Step, and that would probably be the better option, but it's the fact that I'm one of 6 people and I was in position to respawn down on a radio that's almost definitely going to be lost, that is our last spawn, is why I'm prioritizing doing that first, even though it's not the best thing I can be doing. Pink, we're spread too thin on defense to stretch over there. We're about to have 2v1 on habs and they're already on one of our radios.
You got
friendlies on the next one immediately.
They're capping.
Tell them to keep their heads
Yeah,
down.
they're on cap. They're starting to cap. We can't do all this at once. Trying to deal with 1 fob, but there's 2, plus people in cap range.
They're starting to
Don't
cap
spawn
west
me.
step. Fuck yeah, they are. God damn it.
Command, you need a lodging down to...
I can throw a fob inside west, to the west of West Step right now.
Yeah, if you can get a Logi there, that'd be nice. Any kind of fob around the west end, north
I was
end, anywhere.
Thinking a helicopter, but yeah.
Should we focus on getting cap back of West Stepney or dealing with this fob to the south?
Yes, now we need to have a West Step. We're losing West Step.
Focus cap range if we're taking Nova.
Should be able to get at least double nukes. Our guys are closing in on their only hab on east.
We're losing the fob on the far west end of East Nova.
Can I get a pick up at main?
Yeah, I need one squad leader to send one guy to me so I can get this hab up.
Blanc, can you make it to 3? He's trying to get a hab. Sending one.
What's he trying to do?
He's trying to put a radio down.
Hopefully the American I saw over here doesn't shoot him.
Are you beginning to neutralize East Nova? Because we're going to be on the verge of a double nude if we don't halt West Step.
Or find him for that matter.
You need a radius mark, Stiff? Or is it with it?
No, it's within. I think it's close to their house.
No, not even capping East Nova yet. We're not gonna get it.
I'm just
Take
We're
your
not gonna
time.
get the double nuke. We gotta get it back.
I'm sure we'll contest at least a little. I just don't know if we'll sustain. So a few comments about what just happened. The squad who asked me if they should be focusing on the south fob or cap range actually had, a really good question. That's a hard part about defense, is knowing which to prioritize. And while I'm thinking that double neutral is a possibility, I am going for cap range, just because even if we lose all our spawns, there's a possibility we could at least start stealth capping and get some progress back. It's not always the universal best decision, but it's what I was thinking at the time, and he goes for it, and he does really well on cap range. Meanwhile, Stiff does a good flank. He's engineer, he's behind the enemy radio to the south, but ultimately it's one versus many. He has iron sights and he doesn't manage to pull off the stealthy fob takedown. Also, although I kind of picked on Squad 3 for the split heli/infantry squad, it's important to consider context. I will almost never do it just because I am someone who's recognized in game and I don't want to give people the impression that it's something I think is the most effective. But given the circumstance with all the lodges being claimed, he is actually doing it really well. I still think it would be better if he either dedicated to pilot and then set another SL for the people on offense who are moving in over and over, or if he dedicated himself to SL and grabbed another pilot, but he's making good decisions both in where he puts his people and what he does as a helicopter. Landing like that and throwing down a radio with my clan member was a risky play, but he managed to pull it off, and it does help a ton on West Stepney. Yeah, those cappers, I was thinking they came from the east, but you're probably right. If I was right and they have a north spawn, that's probably where they came from.
I gotta switch off this kid, dude. I cannot kill them on range.
I saw one guy run. Actually, I saw a few guys run from the north, but I couldn't see where they were coming from.
Yeah, neither could I. I couldn't tell. It was confusing me the entire time. That's why I lost the lodging on the north. I, for some reason, thought they wouldn't be there. Even though earlier I was wondering if they were coming in from northeast. I just forgot about it at the bad time.
I'm not gonna risk my logic on 1v1.
You can choose the LZ, whatever looks good.
Oh, they're on radio.
Okay, South Hab's gonna go down now. They finally found radio. Hab mark's still good
tank,
for
just
enemy.
keep suppressing the best. I'm sending all my guys into fucking.
I've mentioned a few times that this is a kind of a complicated match, and right now, with the fact that the western West Stepney fob went down, I think we have an ability to contest cap range in a reasonable fashion, because I still believe that the predominant threat is the south enemy hab, which is taking down our south radio, and the east enemy hab. That's what I was kind of discussing with Angatar, because we still felt that there could be something in this tree line, and we are still nervous about it. But at the end of the day, I think we have the spawn advantage near cap range and can brute force West Stepney. Because of that, when I checked my support assets and I realized that I have my next commander asset coming in, I kind of wanted to prioritize using it on East Novo, where the fight is much more in our favor, and we just have to deal with this last spawn. So that's why I'm building here, which is not an effective spawn for really contesting West Step unless an SL is going to place a rally off of this spawn. It's too far away. I just want to get in position where I'm close to a hab and I am ready to strike East Novo. But while I'm doing that, the armor comes in close, pushes it, the infantry gets on, and East Novo starts looking fantastic. And the infantry that was pushing West Stepney, those two squads, they did a fantastic job as well of actually controlling cap range. Even though we started losing sustainability really fast on West Step and things got sketchy, when they dive-bombed cap range like that and held it for long enough, we really did manage to get ourselves into a situation where a double neutral was very likely. But then just as I'm saying that, the west spawn goes down at West Stepney, so they are completely spawn wiped outside of what I just built and the far south one. So really, if we're going to full cap East Novo, the guys who are in cap range right now on defense only have one life to sustain that for long enough for East Novo to go neutral. Should they fail, we're definitely going into a double neutral, and at the very least we have spawns in opposite ends of cap range that can work to getting stealth caps, and you can see people start to spawn up north here with me and push back in. But at the very least, we're looking okay in the situation of a double neutral, and if these guys fight really well and manage to hold it for long enough, and we're already a little ways in on East Novo, we might even be able to not go double neutral at all. And I'm on standby with UAV and Artie and shit.
Should we stay on West Stepney if East Novo gets neutralized, or should we rotate
No, I'm
to?
looking around for it. They're searching for me.
I think we're going to East Nova. We have a lot of bombs on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll be fine enough on East Novo.
Set up eyes on radio.
Hey, can you go ahead and hop out and throw down a radio right where you're at? And we're gonna throw up another fob, yeah? Never mind, you're busy, I lied.
Hey, I'm gonna asset from here, and then can you pick me and Sniffles up?
Yeah.
I can get that attack cab going on air.
Okay, shift over,
Go
goose,
ahead and
stiff,
pull everyone
spawn
off.
south.
On the west. There's enemies on the west end of East Nova on top of the fob. Right at the end of the street there. To the south.
I'd say
Airfield.
combat engineer if you feel like switching.
Yeah, no, by the time they neutralize West Ebb, we should have East Novo.
Yeah, 6, I'd make one last hurrah though to try to stall them just in case it was actually really close. If you can drop a rally.
We're gonna stay here and try and stall them. We cap East Novo. We're gonna rotate off.
Fantastic.
Yeah, let's work off a rally for a couple seconds.
And we're
So once again, great team play. We halted on West Ep for what looked like long enough that we should be able to full cap East Novo, but the requirement for actually leaving West Ep is that East Novo is sustainable. And at this point in time, there's infantry approaching both of our fobs to the southwest, so that's not necessarily a guarantee. So because of that, a lot of us shift over, but 6 agrees to stay and do what they can for West Ep new cap until East Novo is totally secure. It's hard to organize that kind of a double shift where you're still keeping some presence on the old flag but getting most people to secure the new one, and it's great that this team is capable of self-organizing and doing that.
I'm gonna get that backup hab.
Okay.
They know where our radio is on West Novo.
We're
Just
less
go
than
to
20
camp
seconds,
on the radio.
guys.
Yeah, watch your give-ups, watch your Vicks. We'll get 50 from East Novo full cap, but they are on our west radio right now.
Летательный аппарат вылетел в заданный район.
I forgot to mention that while that was going on, of course, the armored dive bombed the eastern Novo fob, so I didn't need to use my commander asset there, and it looked like we were fine on defense, so I put it over airfield to see if I couldn't spot any enemy movements, and see if we couldn't get 2 quick flag captures, because we are very low on tickets, and we probably need it. It's a good thing that Angatar mentioned the ticket count, because I was not considering that and didn't think it was nearly that close until he mentioned it. I missed all of the warnings. And I really, at this point, am rewinding in my mind and trying to think of how we got there, and that's when I realized that we just lost another tank and IFE on East Novo. Fortunately, we capture East Novo and get our plus 50 for that, which is awesome. Unfortunately, I am really worried about tickets at this point, because even with that, now that I'm replaying things back through my mind and counting up how much armor we've actually lost, I'm really concerned that that actually was not enough. So I'm in my UAV and I'm trying to scan for enemy habs. I'm looking over at the Novo area, the tree line between the flags, and to see if I can't peek into certain hangars from certain angles to see where it is. But eventually a tank is going to roll up to one position, and that's actually going to take my priority because it's a 15 ticket target. The likelihood of me actually spotting their hab in this situation is slim, and the likelihood of us full capping airfield with our remaining tickets is also slim. So I'm going to consider the tank to be a high ticket priority item, and I'm going to go after that.
I can go ahead.
6, you can build it. 6, build an EGM there, so we get the tank.
Guys, tell you guys to stop giving up so easily. Wait for the medics, let the medics do their jobs.
If you track the tank, I can A-10 it.
My medics aren't union, so they just fuck off.
I'm trying to go
Abrams track.
Okay, I'll A-10 it the rest of the way.
I'm just gonna get this lobby to safety. That's not worth building another one, I don't think.
We got,
God damn it, I can't tell if that's 100% on.
Into East Novo right now.
Pink, I'm gonna give you FTL, put an exact mark on it. It's important for A10. As dead on as you can get, as centralized.
Oh wait, no,
Yep.
it's not fully tracked yet.
He's spinning.
It's unobserved though.
That Bravo mark's accurate.
I'm just ditching this
It's single tracked. I'm A10ing. SUing rather.
We got dismounts.
Авиация на подлете.
They're wrapping.
Заходим на цель.
Just hoping that hits.
That hits, we win.
Hot mic goose.
Hey, Squad 10, you can build an ATGM there.
Thank you.
Damn. That's Butt Jr. right there.
It hit.
Nah, you can get that
It's down.
down.
Tank's down.
Digging up the, yeah. Nah, just prevent them from digging up that radio right there. It's in that shed.
Атаку закончила. Возвращаюсь на базу.
They still got a lot of contact to the north of this hab.
Everyone else, Biggs, go ahead and try.
Alright, I'm hopping in now.
Oh, sorry.
So downside of Commander basically being super SL is that the entire time I was doing this, I had Angatar on standby waiting to take me and another member over to the fight. This is why I like 1 or 2 man command instead. Unfortunately, doing dedicated command is really uncommon, and that's probably largely due to the fact that you can't do it with a solo person. I would do it regularly if you could. But once again, with this team, it didn't really affect me too much. They were all playing really well, so the fact that I was working with predominantly a helicopter and didn't have a logi, and the fact that I was spending a lot of time doing command stuff didn't hurt too much. Anyway, I'm really expecting the enemy to lose at any minute here, and I'm desperately hoping they do, because we're down to 30 tickets and things are not going well on airfield, and Novo is starting to lose fobs.
For 5 PS runs right now.
At 28 tickets, honestly, I don't know if it's worth...
No, you're shooting US rounds.
Oh, hold up.
They're landing.
Blackhawk's landing,
Start
yeah.
loading some BT.
There's a Blackhawk landing to the north of East Novo. It's landing on Mark right now.
Find one of these guns here.
Боевую задачу выполнила.
There's one Mark's captain on that happened.
Yeah, we're
30
taking
ticket
Yeho
warning.
airfield.
We're taking Yeho, neutralizing, but East Novo is going to get hit from the north.
Shoot guys inside. Shoot guys inside. Inside the.
Oh, we might be able to get this. We can kill everyone.
Loading.
We are taking it.
Guys, there's a hab to your north, be advised.
Let's do passes on it. We can honestly kill infantry.
Alright.
I think it's worth it at this point. Those guys can't really neutralize, or we're going to have problems. I rarely believe it's actually worth gunning down infantry in a helicopter as a tactic, but in this particular instance, I still believe we're actually going to full cap Eho Airfield because I'm not sure there's actually a spawn on it. And we get a lot of people into cap range in the upcoming few minutes, but they did have one spawn left and they start spawning there en masse. So I'm going to be doing this while I still think we have a chance of capping and I don't want East Novo to go neutral. But the moment I realize that we're actually not going to full cap before we lose tickets, I immediately want to pull the helicopter out because we don't want to be losing our last remaining tickets. We need to bleed out the enemy.
Easy win.
Loading. As long as we don't use 18 before a full cap on Yeho, we're good. And they're probably just as low.
Easy win with 18 tickets.
Just have your guys watch everything. Be really careful with Vix, really careful with
Spawning
Fox.
in one of the 2 buildings I marked.
Let's be really careful with this till the end. Just go back to main. I don't think there's anything we can do to influence this now besides not 9.
8, 7, and 9. I suggest you guys play back with your Vigs.
16 tickets.
Yeah, those Vix can't really win it for us right now. They could just lose it.
I'd suggest you guys just go ahead and run away and like not die.
Yeah, if we full cap Yeho, you can come back in.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
This team's good at communicating. They might be able to hold 16 for a full cap. I think they could do it, honestly.
Did you get him? Squad 8, did you get him? Shit.
Direct north,
trying to take
they're
the
pushing
ratio.
out from that central dirt road. They're pushing towards flag itself.
Okay, well, it's all
There's,
take KD.
3 of them.
All ticket conservation then, if we're not going to cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to cap, so it's all ticket conservation. Just go for KD.
I hate this game.
When we're
Right,
repped,
taking
let's
off,
hit
taking away
Petrivka
from
and see if they
someone
have
that
an
needs
old
an
fob
optic.
there we can
When
quickly
your
take
maps
down.
are this fucking big.
There should be one on Stepney, East Stepney.
Oh, yeah,
There's
let's
probably
hit
still
that.
people there though.
I don't think so with the number of people around other places, and with how good this enemy team's been, I think it's
Yeah, I
worth
like how
trying.
we don't even really get the red dots anymore as the
Oh,
Russians.
1 ticket. 6.
Nice
Something popped.
Squad 8,
I
that
think.
was all Squad 8.
Fuck that radio bleed out, man.
It was a BTR, lost 10 tickets.
That's a fun
I
game.
didn't
know.
know.
Vigs can lose the game, man.
We were telling everyone in command. Damn.
We lost because they crashed the heli at the beginning.
Yeah, you like that?
Like,
Yeah,
those
that's
guys
the
were
difference.
wasting Vix the entire time.
Fuck.
They
Damn.
had over 100 revives too, though.
I didn't even check the KD and shit. I was just trying to remember how we lost, or what happened there with the final loss of tickets. Alright, so let's discuss how this defeat happened and break down everything. The first thing you want to look at is KD. You just want to look at the difference between our deaths and their deaths. You don't need to look at kills, because that doesn't take into consideration suicides, and revives are included in deaths. So, 263 to 269, only a 6 ticket difference in their favor for KD, which coincidentally is exactly the 6 tickets we lost, which is pretty interesting. But I think the most interesting part is that we took 20 with the midpoint, and then we took an additional 50 with Novo, so we were plus 70 on objectives, meaning that minus the 6 KD, 64 tickets were lost either by radio deaths or vehicle deaths. Now, whenever you have a close ticket game, literally anyone can blame anyone else for the loss. There's something that every single squad here could have done just slightly better that would have won the game. If I didn't lose that logi on the north side and get the 5 ticket asset plus the 2 people, me and Stiff, killed, then we wouldn't have lost. We would have had a 1 ticket victory. Similarly, if the squad that ended up hitting that fob in the beginning on the overpass didn't go through there and didn't get killed, then they wouldn't have lost a lot of people in their logi truck and we probably would have won. Or if at any point any of the 10 ticket armor assets just managed to kill the other armor and didn't die, we would have won, right? The point is that anyone can play the blame game here because anyone having done slightly better could have made a game victory. Now, with that said, we probably should discuss the armor because they did go very negative. Off of a game start, we lost all of the armor to the Bradley and the tow fob. What ended up happening is one player, who we'll talk about later, went down the main road directly late after crashing the helicopter at game start, and he encountered the Bradley and died to it. And then the other 2 got a little bit caught up trying to save a logi, trying to fight with infantry, and they both blew up when the Bradley eventually pushed them. Now, those last 2 players, of course, they were trying to be active and help the team, and in the process, they were spotted and attacked by enemy armor. And at the end of the day, I'm not mad at them or anything. They tried their best. They did decently well. They did something that helped the team, and in the end, they were punished by it because there was a Bradley player with a lot of awareness as to where the armor was who actively hunted them. And then that situation pretty much duplicated itself later on East Novo, when a lot of armor pushed to help the infantry and actively pushed that hab and actually contributed towards the capture of East Novo, but in the process they were hit by the enemy tank and possibly the enemy Bradley while they were supporting infantry. It's one of the reasons why it's not unanimously always the best decision to go fob hunting or anything in vehicles, and it's one of the reasons why you'll see more experienced Vic players often remaining detached from infantry until they understand the armor game and the presence of the armor on the map. But of course, it's a very fine line. There are times when it's worth dive bombing, and honestly, I think those guys did a great job at Novo and were probably responsible largely for the flag capture itself. So in the end, they just made a call. It ended up working out in some ways and not working out in other ways. The armor game here was not terrible. Wasn't necessarily fantastic, but there's no real blame to be assigned here. They played decently well, and they definitely did their best. However, it's one thing to talk about what people could have done better to win, and it's another thing to discuss the people who were an active detriment to the team. There was pretty much one player who was largely responsible for the loss here, in that they threw away assets time and time again, and that's the player who initially created Squad 1, took that helicopter and crashed it in the beginning. That had 2 people on board and was worth 7 tickets, which of course is the game win here. Obviously he didn't know how to fly, he wasn't talking in command chat, he's probably just, somebody coming to squad thinking it's Battlefield Plus with cool graphics or whatever and thinks he can just grab whatever and use it however he wants. Didn't know how to fly, decided to practice in a pub game, and that was just the beginning of what damage he did to the team. He was also the person who then immediately went and claimed a BTR afterwards and then just drove it down in a straight line directly into the Bradley, which is a more understandable newer player mistake and wouldn't have been a big deal if it weren't for the fact that he was, at this point, pretty much asset wasting. Now, after that point, he hot potatoed Squad 1, went and made a new squad, Squad 8, and grabbed various vehicles. He grabbed the tank and pushed Novo and got that blown up when he encountered the enemy tank. And then at the very end of the game, he grabbed the BTR, drove to Yeho Airfield, and drove inside while we were all talking about conserving tickets, got it blown up, and that was the final blow that ended the match. Now, I really wouldn't be nagging on this guy if it was just the fact that he took some armor out and didn't play it too well and blew up. Everybody starts somewhere. It's the fact that he wasn't talking. He was actively grabbing helicopters that he didn't know how to fly. He was hot potatoing squads. He didn't have a mic. It was obviously just a Battlefield Plus player who came in, saw a Twitch stream, and proceeded to waste assets all match. And it really sucks that that ended up being the difference here in this match. But these players can't really be helped. They will always join the game, they always get bored with the game, and they will always leave, or they will get kicked by admins numerous times, and eventually they will be frustrated enough that they won't play it again. I've mentioned before, it's not really usually worth talking about whose fault it was for the loss. It's usually better to talk about who could have done better or how you could have compensated for it. But I mean, this is a pretty unique situation where we had a really good team all around doing a lot of great shit, and then one person who is essentially working against everyone else.